Day on your left, Tannen Grace, Ross Merriam, and Brendan DeCandio. That's Team BCW. And then on your right, David Thomas, Brian Basoco, Jonathan Job. Your winners at SCG, Dallas-Fort Worth. Our Team Constructed Open there earlier this year. Keep in mind that Basoco and Job have won 2 Team Constructed Opens this year. The third was different each time. The first time it was Rudy Brisca. The other time it was David Thomas. They've got David Thomas here again, and they are in first place to start day number 2 of competition here from Las Vegas.
If I had to describe, the pros and cons of playing a deck like Azoria Stoneblade versus other Delver lists, you're a little bit weaker against combo. You're not quite as lean and low to the ground and disruptive, but I think against other Delver decks, you're much better situated.
Thomas kicked things off with a Ponder into a Scalding Tarn. For Tannen Grace, he just has a Scalding Tarn as well. No cantripping on the early stages of this game for Tannen. He's also going to play a Misty Rainforest and pass the turn back.
I will also note that pairings are available online today at pairings.starcitygames.
Thomas just plays another land, passes the turn back, so we're back over to Tannen.
Use either paper or online pairings all day long. This is a competitive rail event, and this is Legacy. So there are 2 things to be super aware of. Number 1, your opponent is not a correct source for gathering information.
Tannen's third land will be a Underground Sea and passing the turn back. This is a strange start for Tannen because I think something like this actually favors David.
Oh, for sure. David can play a much deeper game. He's got 2 main deck copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor. Snapcaster Mage, I believe, is in his list as well.
Yeah, he's got 2 main deck copies of that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're playing a lot of turns with a lot of mana, Thomas is going to get the better of it.
Well, Grace will finally play his first spell of the match here in a Brainstorm. So he'll draw 3 cards, put 2 back, likely crack a fetch land as well, make it a beautiful Brainstorm to get the morning started.
Please raise it in the air so that a judge can come collect it.
But no Delver of Secrets, no Young Pyromancer here just yet for Tannen. No Wastelands either. So it's a very slow start for our Grixis Delver player, who's always looking to play a more tempo-oriented game. Not really a control deck, I would say.
Not in this matchup, certainly. Thomas plays that game a lot better.
Again, as a reminder, this event has 73 players.
Grace will untap, and he'll draw, actually.
I'm being told parents are now
not going to crack a fetch land. So it must have been a Brainstorm that he was happy with. He wanted to keep even more cards.
On the pairings board, on pink paper.
Now, Grace does have a copy of Wasteland in hand. He's actually going to play that as his 4th land. Not sure if he's going to fire it off just yet.
Depends his familiarity with Thomas's list. In general, Thomas's mana is much more valuable to him than Tannen's is to him. So Tannen should feel pretty comfortable using Wastelands aggressively. You see Thomas is sitting on one of his own, and Tannen's had an Underground Sea in play for multiple turns. The reasoning there is that Thomas has Jace the Mind Sculptor, some other bigger plays. He wants to play around Daze and Spell Pierce as the game proceeds. On the other side, though, Tannen very aggressive in using his Wasteland, and I think both players showing an understanding of whose mana matters more.
Tannen very quickly resolving that Brainstorm. He drew 3 cards, put 2 back right away. So he is obviously looking for something in particular, or he just says, these 2 cards are so bad, I already know I'm going to put them back. Now he'll shuffle them away via the Scalding Tarn. So Grace will fall down to 19 while Thomas is still at 20. Of course, we do have updates on our other matches there between Ross Merriam playing Grixis Phoenix against Brian Basoco playing Humans, and Brendan DeCandio playing Golgari Midrange against Jonathan Joe playing Is It Drakes. We will let you know, but for now we keep our attention here on Legacy with Grace and his Grixis Delver deck, as we are in the deeper stages of this game, which again, we feel that favors David Thomas with how his deck is constructed.
Absolutely.
Let me another Wasteland here for Tannen. I guess it's going to be an attempt at True Name Nemesis. So both players do have this card in their deck. Tannen playing actually multiple main deck copies. Looks like 3.
He has 3.
To David Thomas, who has 2.
And are currently being posted on the pairings board.
So we're going to have a little bit of a Force of Will war here. David Thomas's Force of Will exiled a Spell Snare. Tannen's will exile a Daze, and now it looks like David Thomas would like to respond as you see these players separate the stack. Thomas would like to sacrifice a Polluted Delta in response to Tannen's Force of Will. And it looks like that's going to resolve. And while David Thomas does fetch up a land, and it'll be a Tundra, I'll let you know that Jonathan Job with Is It Drakes, their standard player, He's up a game right now over Team BCW standard player Brennan DeCandio playing Golgari mid-range. So that blue-red strategy with Crackling Drake and Arclight Phoenix treating Jonathan Job very well here this weekend.
We watched Job come back in an incredible game yesterday to finish off day one. Fortunately, not good enough for their team as they picked up their first loss.
It'll be a brainstorm in response here.
Modern Classic players, if you are still on your way to your seat, please
David Thomas's hand not all that great. See his swords to plowshares there, which clearly not very good against True Name Nemesis. Well, we will watch Thomas draw 3 and put 2 back, see if he can find maybe a counterspell that he's looking for. Looks like he's going to put swords to plowshares back on top of the deck and now crack a fetch land.
Welcome to round 2.
That'll resolve as well.
You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
Grace helping organize the graveyard there a little bit. These two players, when Thomas, Basoco, and Job won in the finals in Dallas, this was the same matchup. Thomas was playing Shadow, and Tana was playing Grixis Delver, but these two players have squared off before.
And this is a key battle here, as Thomas's deck here not great against True Name Nemesis game 1. You have some sideways workarounds, trying to overpower with Jace, race with Batterskull, but if it gets onto the battlefield, it's there.
All right, that's a Spell Pierce in the Force of Will. We'll see how this will go. That will work, and True Name is countered. So a lot of work there by David Thomas to counter that True Name Nemesis, but it worked, and now he'll sacrifice another fetch land. We'll see if this resolves.
And if that Spell Pierce was good, and Thomas, I believe Thomas with Jace the Mind Sculptor in hand, if Thomas draws a 5th mana, I would not be surprised to see him go for Jace the Mind Sculptor this turn. Although, never mind. He has Grace with a Stifle for the fetch land.
Interestingly enough, Tan and Grace just playing 1 Stifle here this weekend. Not all that popular in Grixis Delver nowadays, but if you've played enough Legacy, which clearly David Thomas has, he has been respecting Stifle this entire game as he's going to crack that polluted Delta very quickly, and I think we're going to see him just go for Jace here.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Tannen did pitch a Daze to the Jace, to the Force of Will he cast last turn.
What's also a little interesting by this is, I don't know if Dave has a Daze in his hand for protection either.
Yeah, but part of the reason to go for it here is that Tannen has a Wasteland, so next turn he's going to waste you off your Tundra anyway, and if you're playing around Daze, it's going to take a million turns before you can cast the Jace.
Well, I'm with you on that one.
So, and if it sticks, it's a huge deal, obviously.
He will go for the Mind Sculptor. And that is in, and I love the plussing to dodge lightning bolts.
Yeah, first order of business is get it out of bolt range.
Now, if Tannen has 2 lightning bolts, so be it. But get it out of bolt range. David Thomas has done that, and I think he's identified the situation very, very well. And as you can see in Tannen Grace's hand, or at least I saw, he does have a lightning bolt in his hand. Grace is going to tap some mana here. He does have another copy of True Name Nemesis, so it looks like that will resolve. So which one of these powerful threats will be able to take over this game?
Well, then Thomas has a couple routes from here. He can Brainstorm the first time, let the Jace fall down to 2, Fate Seal, Brainstorm again, and then lose the Jace. That's a lot of value, but the True Name Nemesis is still an issue. If you can find something like Stoneforge Mystic, then you can start racing the True Name Nemesis and squeeze a lot of cards out of the Jace.
Thomas is done brainstorming, and now he will fetch with the Flooded Strand.
Yeah, my preferred order of operations here, if you can set it up, is to Brainstorm, let the Jace fall down to 2. On your following turn, Jace up to 4 with a Fate Seal. True Name knocks it down to 1. Brainstorm again, and then Tannen can finish it off. Any
concerns with Lightning Bolt in this scenario?
I mean, it's a turn off. There's no real way to play around it unless you're just Fate Sealing every single turn. And if you're doing that, you're not really getting much mileage out of it. If you trade off for a Bolt, a Brainstorm, a couple of attacks, and a Scry, it's not, you didn't win the game with Jace, but it's hard to feel like you got a bad deal for your 4 mana.
Sure. This will be a ponder now here for David Thomas.
And also worth keeping in mind that because one of Thomas's ways to sort of overpower or work around True Name Nemesis is Stoneforge Mystic, it's not the worst to trade off bolts, because the bolts are good against that sequence too.
And now here's Stoneforge Mystic. That'll be resolving as well. It'll be Umezawa's Jite, which means that Thomas may already have Batterskull in hand. See the way that Grace, drew his card here. One of the cards slid off the top of his deck, so we'll get a correction here. Not sure if he saw it, not sure if David Thomas saw it, so on and so forth. But better safe than sorry. That is for sure. So a little conversation here with our table spotter, make sure everything is clear for takeoff. And while they work on that, let me tell you about that modern match in the middle. Brian Basoco with humans up a game here over Ross Merriam playing Grixis Phoenix. Ross just can't beat this guy.
No. He's having some
He just can't beat him.
Ross's face in the foreground here is a nice... Let's keep it on this shot for a minute.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Just can't beat Brian. They've played a couple of times this year here on the SCG Tour, and Brian's bested him in the Humans Mirror a couple of times. Ross has got a new deck, and he's having trouble still. Looks like they're just going to have Tannen shuffle his deck here very quickly. Always good to call a judge if you have a question. That's what they're here for.
No harm.
And we will continue play. Tannen was given a warning for looking at extra cards as the Jace will be bolted into the graveyard after the attack from the very powerful Merfolk. Doesn't really feel like a Merfolk.
No, not really.
No. Back to David Thomas will go. He would like to play his own copy of True Name Nemesis. That one wears an Umezawa's Jite quite well. Stoneforge's Mystic will bite the dust. As we're going to head back over to Tannen Grace.
And I don't believe Tannen can blow up an artifact or remove a True Name Nemesis game one. So the short of it is that he is in trouble.
Yes.
If he does not have a way to fight back against the Jite next turn.
And that True Name Nemesis, it's not blocking.
And you can see, Tom, I know I've mentioned this a couple times, but I think it is a really good summary of what's going on in the matchup. He still has not used the Wasteland. Mm-hmm. His mana is just better than Tannen's mana.
There is Umezawa's Jite, equip and attack. 2 counters on the very powerful artifact right away. And David Thomas is looking to run away with this one. Now, this combination, we first saw this at SCG Dallas-Fort Worth many years ago in the hands of Ty Thomason when he won that Open. It was True Name plus equipment. And a handful of years later, Patrick, it's still good.
Yep. And I know we've had a lot of setup and a lot of back and forth, and there's a lot of stuff on the table. I think we're in a spot now if Tannen stacks his deck, he still can't win.
I think I'm with you, especially with the Bitter Blossom also chipping away.
Yeah.
Which is a small thing, but I would be shocked. I would be shocked. I mean, Gurmag Angler's big. Big creature. Maybe it's not impossible. But we've been,
It's not great. It's not great. It's not the second Jace is not great.
Well,
it's not great here.
Well, it got a little harder. Pass the turn back. All I'm saying is it got harder. That's all I'm saying. I think Thomas has played a really nice game here. Yeah, really, really nice game. As he's going to win game number 1 here over Tannen Grace. Azorius Stoneblade up a game here over Grixis Delver. We felt that in those early stages of the game, if Tannen didn't get off the ground very quickly, this would be an advantage for Thomas. And as you mentioned multiple times during that game, Thomas felt like his mana was better, never needed to activate the Wasteland, was able to resolve a Jace and take it from there.
It was still tight, and a lot happened, and Tannen got the first real card on the battlefield first with True Name Nemesis. But I felt that with nothing really being cast, the fact that there was no fireworks inside of the first 3 turns was really good for Thomas, and eventually he was able to get Umezawa's Jite on True Name Nemesis.
This trio on your right here, Thomas, Basoco, and Joe, they're no joke in this team constructed tournaments. I'll tell you what. As we take a look at our sideboards here, we're going to start with Tannen Grace, who has the option to be on the play, of course. He's got 2 Abrades, 2 Electrickeries, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Surgical Extraction. Another copy of Bitter Blossom. We saw one near the final stages of that game, so obviously he's got at least 1 main deck copy. A Price of Progress and a Red Elemental Blast.
Love the Red Elemental Blast. The Bitter Blossom as well. I think it's just powerful against the deck as controlling as Thomas's. And also Bitter Blossom lines up pretty well against Jace the Mind Sculptor. I like the 2 copies of Snapcaster Mage, and I think he wants the Abrades as well to fight over the equipment. I don't know how much of the Red Blast stuff he wants, but seeing Jace the Mind Sculptor, I wouldn't be surprised. 2 copies, at least. I wouldn't be surprised if Tannen loaded up with all 3 of his Red Blasts.
Let's take a look at David Thomas, who's got 3 Surgical Extractions, 2 Council's Judgment, 2 Disenchant, 2 Flusterstorm. And here come the one-ofs in Path to Exile, Rapdigger's Cage, Containment Priest, Vendilion Click, Back to Basics, and he's got a blast, but it's the blue variety.
I like the 2 copies of Council's Judgment and the Path to Exile. I would bring in the Back to Basics also.
Get him.
Tannen's deck is all non-basics. If Thomas wants to set it up, he's got 3 islands and a plains. That's the number of basic lands you need to be able to cast Jace the Mind Sculptor through Wastelands or Back to Basics or Blood Moons and so forth. So the deck is built with that 1 copy of Back to Basics in mind. It's not great in this matchup, but post-board, Tannen's probably sided boarding into more 3s and 4s, probably more willing to tap out for a big fight on his own turn. And if you land Back to Basics and he can't get it off the battlefield, I mean, that's it. He kind of can't play.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They will sideboard and shuffle up. We'll get ready here for game number 2 from Las Vegas in just a moment, but we want to talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale here, folks, because this one ends on Monday, as you do know. Now, of course, we'll have another sale for you at 11 a.m. on Monday East Coast time. But for now, if you want to save on Commander favorites, you better do so quick.
Yeah, you got about another 24 hours or so. So head on over there. 33% off casual and Commander favorites, including the surprisingly expensive Rhystic Study. Has to be by a mile the most expensive card in Prophecy, right?
That's great. Hey, that's a great question. That's a great question. I couldn't tell you with any amount of certainty.
I know that when I played competitively, Box of Prophecy, because it was the most recent set, was very common for top 8ing PTQs that were mass block constructed.
Yeah.
No, not a single card to open. Most valuable card in the set at the time, I believe, was Troublesome Spirit. Are you familiar with this one?
Do I know what Troublesome Spirit does? 2 blue, 3/4 flyer. Something about lands don't untap? No. Hang with me. I think it's... Why do I think it's your lands don't untap?
You got it. It's a 3/4 flyer for 4, and you're now under Winter Orb.
Yeah, but you had free counter. You had thwart and stuff. You had free counter spells.
Yeah, but it's still...
So.
Could you imagine a 3/4 flyer for 4 with a drawback? First of all, being rare nowadays.
Goodness, no.
And then also being the most valued card in the set.
Also, no.
Prophecy was a lot of air balls. A lot of air balls.
Troublesome Spirit, indeed.
Yeah.
It's a good name. I got the artwork in my head. I don't know. Do we got that thing?
Troublesome Spirit?
Yeah,
we can dial it up.
Can we dial that thing up? It's not good.
It was the most expensive card in the set, and it
Hello.
was also... Oh, sorry, it wasn't quite Winter Orb. Yeah.
At the end of your turn, tap... Oh, okay, yeah, it was different than I remembered. At the end of your turn, tap all lands you control. Okay.
It's really fun. It's really fun. It's a really fun rare. Like, you open it up in a pack, and you're like, I'm really excited to play with this.
The game was a little different then. This was like the Skies deck they had like this and Indentured Djinn.
Oh, yeah, Indentured Djinn.
Yeah, like Cloud Sprite. I think it had the Rashadan Airship.
There was a metagame over which rancid flyers you're supposed to fill out your deck with.
That's correct, yeah. So when I was growing up, I had a really good friend named Brian who lived like down, like a couple, boom.
Bang.
Who lived like in a different development, like 10 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And we were super into Magic. And I think at that time I was playing was there like a mono green deck at that time? Was there a Pouncing Jaguar deck then?
People played, all the good Echo Creatures, and Gaia's Cradle was a pretty popular casual-ish deck.
Yeah, so I was into that and he was into Skies, and we would actually just play on the phone.
Yeah.
So I had my deck and then he had his deck.
Did you have Albino Troll?
Yeah.
Albino Troll's busted.
I had Cradle Guard.
Cradle Guard busted.
Yeah.
Albino Troll is one of the old creatures that wouldn't be a 0 if it got printed nowadays.
I think this card would be fine.
Yeah. This is still a legit card.
Cradle Guard was 1GG 4/4 Echo
and Trample.
And Trample. Okay. So yeah, we would just play on the phone.
Did you play Argothian Worm?
I think so. It's not a good card.
Argothian Worm.
It's not a good card.
Argothian Worm tricked myself included.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
you look at that, you think it's good. 4-mana 6/6 Trampler. It's not.
And
good.
you're like, a 4-mana 6/6 Trampler, or it's Stone Ransom. How could that be bad? And what happens is you're behind. You play it. They put it on top of your deck. You draw it, and then you look at it again like, all right, so am I supposed to do this again?
Yeah. So I lose the game.
So I gotta let this one go. I can't cast it again.
Yeah. There's a Pyroblast to take care of the Delver of Secrets. Delver did not transform there for Tannen. We'll never know about David's, as I think he might be trying here to resolve a Stoneforge Mystic. We'll see. Actually, he's going to search up another island, so pardon me. Yeah, that I was really in our growth anymore. Like that was one of the rares I was chasing when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Like that thing's huge.
Because you're like, if I go elf and play this on turn 3, what are they going to do?
Because I was really, really into land destruction when I grew up. That was my jam.
If you would like to play in a
Delver party.
side event, please make your way to the side event registration stage. Again, we're looking for 2 more players for our 10.
Let's give you a quick update on that standard match between Job and DeCandio. Getting ready for game number 3 down there. Okay. Brainstorm. Transform. And now Grace will get himself an underground sea. I was really into Seismic Mage.
The Stone Rain Spell Shaper?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my favorites.
How are they going to beat that? It's like Argothian Worm, but in reverse.
I think it's a 4-mana 1/1, by the way. Here's a True Name Nemesis that's going to resolve. David Thomas will not be transforming that Delver of Secrets. Play a Jite, though. At least try to. Are we consider?
Yep.
Wow.
Can't block, can't kill anything.
Wow. We are Dunzo.
Yep.
Okay. I respect it. Get out of there.
There's no reason. You can just let it go.
When you beat, you beat.
Right.
Get out of there.
Yeah, it's easy.
Tan and Grace, David Thomas are all tied up.
Players
Thomas will be on the play.
10:30 Sealed Spectacular.
Looks like somebody dropped something.
For your players meeting are posted
So
at the
we'll figure out what's
gathering
going on there.
point
Again, these two players have played they've played each other quite a bit as well. Tannen from the
Again,
Baton Rouge area, and David Thomas, he's a Texas player, I believe residing in Houston right now. So they have run into each other quite a bit as well. I don't think it'll be the last time either if these teams keep playing the way they do here on the SCG Tour.
No, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of day 2 battles and a lot of top 8 and top 4 battles for these squads over the years.
As we mentioned, when we went to Dallas-Fort Worth for our Team Constructed Open earlier this year, when we saw the team on the right beat the team on the left. So what did the team on the right win? Well, let's take a look at that prize slide. They won $7,500. That's $2,500 per player.
A fine weekend.
25 SCG points, and they're invited, of course, to our Season 2 Invitational at SCG-Con Winter later this year. Team BCW, well, they won a cool $3,000. That's $1,000 for Tan and Grace and company. Brandon DeCandio, Ross Merriam. They got 20 SCG Tour points, and they are also invited to our Season 2 Invitational.
With $1,000, you can buy a lot of trophies. You know what I mean?
Technically, that's
like it's
correct.
not. I understand it's the spirit of it, but if you really wanted a trophy,
Wouldn't really say it's the same.
right? No, I know it's not the same. It's
Yeah.
just you could with $1,000 buy a
You can
trophy.
do a lot of things with $1,000.
Yeah, several trophies.
Yes. Trophy flooded.
Yeah.
Like. Just saying it's not exactly the same. That's all. Well, these players shuffling up, getting ready here for game number 3. Tan and Grace looking to get his team on the board here in round number 10 early this morning. The 33-year-old member of Team BCW from Baton Rouge, as I mentioned, he's got 9 open top 8s, an individual top 8 recently with Mono Green Tron. Can't forget that one. Very eventful stuff there when he won round number 15 against Aaron Barrich in the Tron versus Infect matchup. Currently learning American Sign Language, won a state championship in golf in high school, and he recently got married to his very beautiful wife. Tan and Grace looking for open top 8 number 10 on his resume here this weekend.
On blue paper. Once again, standard classic players, your round 2 here.
Ooh, David Thomas. He's coming in. Coming in to help Brian.
And that's kind of the other side of the matchup that we saw in game number 2, which is if the game is light on resources, if people are kind of missing land drops or summoning a little bit, Tannen's deck's going to get the better of that.
Mm-hmm. That I agree with.
I'm excited to sit down and talk Azorius Stoneblade with David Thomas.
Yeah?
We have, I think, 71 of the 75.
Guys are very close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Very close list. Sideboard's surprisingly similar. But I just want to load up on paths.
Path does feel a little underplayed in Legacy.
There's just so many these Delver decks with no basics.
Yeah.
It's like, you play against that, what, half the time in the tournament?
Yeah, it feels like it.
And there's some combo matchups where you want to be able to exile creatures, but it's actually worse for you to give them a chunk of life when you're trying to run them down than it is to give them a land out of their deck, assuming they're even playing any basics at all, which a lot of those combo decks don't necessarily.
We're underway. It'll be a Ponder here for David Thomas off of a basic island. He's keeping with that Ponder. We're heading back over to Tan and Grace. An Underground Sea and a Delver of Secrets. Looking to get off to an aggressive slant here is Grace, as Thomas will sacrifice blue to Delta very quickly. This Delta will find Tundra.
10:30 sealed
And perhaps
players.
we're gonna go the
Your
Stoneforge
teams
Mystic
for deck
route.
Construction have been posted at the gathering point flag to the right of the stage. Please find your seats for the 10:30 sealed.
Interested to see if Thomas left in his copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor. My instinct in this matchup is to cut them, but they were so good game one. I'm interested to see what he did there.
I like them a lot more on the play than on the draw. I'll say that.
I think they're a little shaky in the matchup, and post-board, if they're bringing in a bunch of red blasts, I think it's just
I do want to let you know
just can't
great.
do it.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
64 players in our event today, which means we're going to be playing 6 rounds of Swiss, followed by a cut to top.
How about a
8 playoff.
Stoneforge Mystic?
Once again,
This is my preferred angle attack, and part of the reason I like Paz a lot too
6 rounds of Swiss
is
before our top 8.
they're all on red blast post-board.
Welcome to round 2.
So your white cards are really good.
And you may begin.
Days take care of the Stoneforge. Ponder will be revealed to the Delver of Secrets, so it will transform into Insectile Aberration. In for 3 comes Tan and Grace. But he's a little bit behind on the battlefield, especially when lands are concerned. Days did stop that Stoneforge Mystic, but we'll see at what cost. As the follow-up now is going to be Underground Sea, it appears. And now an Inquisition of Kozilek, so a discard spell. That'll resolve. We take a look at a hand here of True Nemesis. 2 Spell Pierces, a Brainstorm, and a Council's Judgment. So no clean answer to the Delver just yet here for David Thomas.
Yeah, and Council's Judgment is a little bit shaky in this matchup because double white is tricky to get to against a deck with Wasteland.
What are you taking here? I know what I'm taking.
I'm taking Brainstorm.
I'm also taking Brainstorm.
taking Brainstorm out of this hand. It's just the hand's just too shaky.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you're just iced to third land True Nemesis, then fine. But if you can manage it or think that you can race it or whatever, yeah.
All right. I think Brainstorm is just so powerful. I want to take that. Here's
Like I said, it's. I think Thomas probably feels exactly the same way, but if you can't beat True Nemesis if he peels a third land, you got to protect yourself a little bit.
We'll put on those racing shoes, homie.
We'd love to get this event started, so if you
yes.
are someone interested
There's
in playing Legacy with us this morning,
I mean, that
please
is
make
an
your way
option to
top
try
right.
to do.
Once again, we're looking for 2 more for our 10:30 Legacy challenge.
Crack a land. I think we're going to see a Stoneforge here. This game got tough. See if it's going to be Batterskull or Umezawa's Jite. It's going to be Batterskull.
Yeah, with the spell pierces that Thomas has in hand, he has the ability to fight over a braid or whatever the post-board Shatter Tannen might have.
Yep.
And Batterskull is just much higher upside. If Tannen has a bolt to kill the Stoneforge Mystic, both Jite and Batterskull are kind of mopey. But if he doesn't, and he's just on Shatters, the Batterskull just wins the game.
Much higher upside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pluto Delta will find a volcanic island. Bzzz. Bolt will take care of the Stoneforge. In for 3 in the air. Thomas down to 12. Any follow-up here from Grace? Looks like it might be a Ponder. Yes. Ponder and Delver and Bolt are the 3 cards that Tannen's looking at. Actually, 3 pretty good cards right now, I think.
I mean, and this is not a shuffle. You're just keeping 3 spells here. From here, it's just how does Tannen want to sequence all of this?
Let's go back over to David Thomas. 3 mana. Council's Judgment. That'll take care of it. Heading back over to Tannen now. Thomas trying to stabilize things. He does have Spell Pierce, at least 1 in hand.
There's some burden here on Tannen to get the game over with as fast as possible because he's still at threat of the hard cast Batter Skull.
Thomas giving a little bit of an assist here. It looks like to Brian Basoco as usual. One thing I like about this team here on the right is they do have some really nice teamwork. As here's young Pyromancer.
Yeah, they're not on top of each other, but they're definitely available to talk when when assistance is required.
Swords to Plowshares will take care of young Pyromancer. Thomas, no further plays. Lightning Bolt is the reveal. Delver will transform. Tannen already attacking. He knows what he wants to do. As Thomas will fall down to 9. It's a virtual 6 as here's a Ponder. Spell Pierce will take care of that Ponder.
It is surprising that Tannen just let that. Oh, he's sitting on Rebs.
How about a Swords? How about a dead Delver? Okay.
I guess Tannen's just really afraid of Jason the Mind Sculptor there because what does it matter to hold up a Reb if he's just cantripping or whatever?
That's a good question. Another Delver. Transform. Timely. Brainstorm the reveal. Never a bad card to draw.
And now the Batter Skull's kind of cut out of this game because Thomas falls to 6 and then 3 from the follow-up attack, and then that's lethal.
So here's a Brainstorm. Grace will draw 3 cards. And he will, of course, have to put 2 back.
It's all gas, too.
And this is the kind of game that he has to play. Both games that he won started with a turn 1 Delver. The first game started with nothing.
Yeah.
You see the difference.
And not to harp on this too much, but
Attention, Magic players.
why I like to just have a bunch of paths on the board.
Sure. Yep, sure.
Council's Judgment's just really clunky and doesn't work the right way. And if Thomas had a little bit more breathing space in this game, he could probably set up a Batter Skull. But instead, even if he rips a land next turn, it's just not going to be good enough.
It's going to be a Gurmag Angler here now. The real big fish looking to resolve. And it will. It's going to take a heck of a draw step there for David Thomas. He does not find it, and Tannen Grace is going to win this game and match here over David Thomas. 2-1. Grixis Delver will take care of Azori Stoneblade, and for Team BCW, they're on the board first. They win the first match.
That was a real good one, and you saw sort of the pros and cons of both of those decks on display there in those 3 games. But Thomas just not equipped with enough creature removal there in game number 3, and Tannen able to squeeze it out before having to worry about Batter Skull.
Well, our middle seat's done. Basoco takes care of Merriam 2-0. So we're all tied up now in the match, and now that means we're heading down to standard with DeCandio and Job. We're going to get our life totals updated. We're going to hop on down. Look at that camera angle switch. Whew. Technology.
The future is now.
Yes. Now we see a battlefield with plenty of lands on it, but I don't see anything really going on DeCandio's side as Jonathan Job is tapping a lot of mana. Oh, boy.
Oh, are we going to go Stone Raining?
All right. The Star of Extinction is here
Love it.
to take care of that memorial. Cut DeCandio off of some black mana. DeCandio, however, has Vivian Reed to take care of the Mirari Conjecture. So there you see the very powerful Star of Extinction. Destroy target land, and 20 is not that much, but
It takes care of most threats, most planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I wonder if Job had just set up a lethal Mirari Conjecture for next turn.
that may have been the plan. That's off the table now, as Job looks like he's considering shocking this Vivian Reed on Brennan's end step to finish it off. He's actually going to play an Opt instead, as our life totals are now confirmed. Job at 15, DeCandio at 16. We're working ourselves into what appears to be a pretty deep third and final game to decide the match. Mounting the draw here for Jonathan. 4 mana will yield a Crackling Drake. Trigger. Job will draw a card. Found another Crackling Drake. Land for turn there for Job. Does he want to play another Drake? He does. So he's going to flood this battlefield with Drakes.
And I think the hope here is that DeCandio, maybe he can kill one, but he can't kill two in the same turn. And if you get there, then, you know, DeCandio might just be facing lethal the following turn.
Well, there you see. The Drakes are 7-power creatures, at least for right now.
And he's got a Banefire in hand, too. So if DeCandio can only come up with, let's say, he just goes Ravenous Chupacabra and pass or whatever, that Job can attack and Banefire for the whole thing.
Well, there's the top 4 cards for Vivian Reed, that very powerful Planeswalker. And Wild Growth Walker will be the find. DeCandio's thinking the Eldest Reborn now.
All Job is hoping for is just tap out for 1 removal spell.
There is the Eldest Reborn. That'll take care of a Kraken Drake. Land enters the battlefield tapped, and now can Job finish off the game?
I think if he's got Banefire, that he should be good.
He'll play a land. Fireball!
And then +1 on the Drake.
Yes. Winner, winner. David Thomas, Brian Basoco, Jonathan Job Dinner. They're still in first place. They can't be beat.
Except for the end of yesterday, where we did.